This video is made possible by CuriosityStream and Nebula. Watch another full-length companion video to this one that explains the most recent Israel-Palestine crisis exclusively on Nebula, which you can access by signing up for the CuriosityStream Nebula bundle deal for just $15 a year at curiositystream.com/RealLifeLore. For 11 days last month in May, Israel and Palestine bled. Israel conducted hundreds of targeted airstrikes across the Gaza Strip, while thousands of rockets were fired from within into Israel. If you watched any of these events happening on the news, you probably saw some of these incredible images of many of these rockets lighting up the night sky over Israel. These astonishing sights are, in fact, demonstrations of what Israel calls their Iron Dome, arguably the most advanced missile defense system found anywhere in the world that is capable of shooting down nearly all incoming rockets heading for Israeli cities. The system is so advanced it has a 90 to 95% success rate and has literally destroyed thousands of enemy rockets. So, how does it all work? Well, in order to understand how the system protects Israel like a giant shield, you first have to understand the problem that the Iron Dome system solved. Beginning in the 1990s, Hezbollah, a militant Islamist group based in Lebanon, began firing rockets into northern Israeli population centers. During the 2006 Second Lebanon War, 4,000 rockets fired from Hezbollah landed in northern Israel, including Israel's third largest city, Haifa. While to the south, more than 8,000 additional projectiles were fired over a period of several years into Israel from within the Gaza Strip, primarily by Hamas. Between Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, nearly 2 million Israeli citizens were within direct range of these rocket attacks, posing a massive security risk to the Israeli state. In the past, if 1,000 rockets were to fall upon Israeli cities without any defense system in place, the Israeli army itself would have to invade Gaza or Lebanon in order to put a stop to it, which they did in 2009. And so, in 2007, the Israeli military began developing what would eventually be called the Iron Dome, a missile defense system intended to cover the entire country and designed to give the Israeli government crucial time deciding what to do during future conflicts without being forced into another ground invasion. Eventually, and of course, the United States got involved with the funding and development of the system under the Obama administration, and within just a few years, Iron Dome shot down its first missile in 2010 and was deployed for the first time near the town of Beersheba in 2011. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole problem in a nutshell. Here's how the Iron Dome system solves it. A typical air defense missile battery consists of 3 primary components: a radar unit to initially locate and detect threats, a missile control unit that decides when to fire interceptor missiles and essentially acts as the brains, and additionally, several launchers themselves, all located at the same site. Conversely, an Iron Dome battery is deployed in a scattered pattern. Each Iron Dome launcher contains 20 interceptor missiles, which are each independently deployed and operated via a secure wireless connection that can protect an area up to 75 kilometers away in every direction. Okay, so here's how the system works live in action. Imagine a rocket has just been fired from within Gaza and is heading into Israel. Most of the time, these rockets are classified as dumb rockets, meaning that it has no internal guidance system and is simply just fired into the air at an angle, and wherever it lands is largely just based upon the laws of physics. Shortly after the rocket is first launched, the Iron Dome radar system detects it and begins to track the threat and where it might land. One single Iron Dome system is advanced enough to simultaneously track 1,000 rockets or projectiles at the same time. Now, shortly after beginning to track the incoming threat, the second step of the process requires that the Iron Dome system begin to implement a complex series of algorithms used to determine more about the rocket and its trajectory. Essentially, it's just using the laws of physics, but has to also constantly adjust for all sorts of external and variable factors, like wind, weather, and more, but it doesn't just stop there. From here, the system also analyzes the probable landing location and determines whether or not it is located in a populated area or near a military base. If the rocket is determined to just be heading for an empty field in the middle of nowhere, then it doesn't really make any sense to fire a precious missile in order to intercept it, especially when you consider the fact that each of these interceptor missiles can cost as much as $100,000 a piece. On the other hand, though, if the projectile is calculated to be heading for a city or a military base, then the system kicks in a gear and will deploy a missile to go and destroy it. And these are no ordinary missiles. They're extremely fast, traveling at over 2.5 times the speed of sound. But they're also incredibly smart and capable of tracking an incoming object and even changing to a different incoming rocket mid-flight. With its large grid fins and high maneuverability, its sensors are able to quickly adapt to evolving threats, and once it arrives within range of the enemy projectile, the interceptor will detonate its 35-pound explosive payload, launching shrapnel in every direction that'll destroy the incoming rocket. These interceptor missiles have a 90 to 95% success rate with destroying their targets, which effectively looks like this in action. In 2006, before the system was developed and deployed across Israel, 34 days of fighting with Hezbollah in Lebanon resulted in 4,000 rockets striking Israel and 53 Israeli fatalities. Fast forward to 2014, after the Iron Dome system was developed and deployed, after 50 days of fighting with Hamas in Gaza, there were 3,360 rocket launches that only resulted in 2 Israeli fatalities. In 2006, there were 30,000 insurance claims filed for rocket-related damages, while in 2014, there were only 2,400 filed. In total, before 2021, the system had intercepted over 2,500 incoming rockets over a decade-long period. The massive success of the Iron Dome system is completely unprecedented in the history of modern warfare, and is widely considered by many to be the most advanced and the most successful missile shield ever developed in the world. But it still isn't completely perfect. Before the 2021 fighting, the Iron Dome system proved to intercept nearly every rocket or projectile that was launched at Israel because the numbers of launches were relatively low. In May of 2018, about 20 rockets were fired from Syria that were all either intercepted or missed their targets. In May 2019, 690 rockets were fired from Gaza and 240 of them were intercepted. But the most recent fighting in 2021 was different. In several of these barrages, as many as 140 rockets were fired towards Israel within just a few minutes. Within the first 24 hours of the conflict beginning, Hamas managed to fire 470 rockets into Israel, a much higher rate than had ever been achieved in any of the previous conflicts. And many of these were much more sophisticated, long-range missiles that were capable of striking Tel Aviv and even Jerusalem. In the 11 days the fighting went on for, there were approximately 4,340 rockets fired towards Israel from within the Gaza Strip, an average of nearly 400 a day. This represents the highest concentration of rocket fire that Israel has ever experienced, and it also revealed some of the Iron Dome's inherent weaknesses. Even with a 90 to 95% success rate, more than 60 of these rockets were still able to penetrate the Israeli defenses and hit their intended targets. This revealed that the Iron Dome isn't perfect, and it has a critical weakness that can be exploited. It can simply be overwhelmed by concentrated sheer numbers of rocket fire. But that's not the only serious weakness. Iron Dome batteries and the missiles they fire aren't endless, and they're prohibitively expensive. Just one of these interceptor missiles can cost the Israeli government upwards of $100,000, while a crudely manufactured rocket fired from Hamas within Gaza may only cost $800, with even the more advanced longer-range missiles being only a couple thousand. So, if Israel deploys 1,000 interceptor missiles, it'll cost Israel approximately $100 million to do so, while firing 4,000 rockets will cost Hamas maybe only $3 or $4 million, which is quite the difference. This has led some to speculate that rather than targeting lives or infrastructure, Hamas can still be capable of severely targeting Israel's finances by making them spend so much more money on their defense. But despite these weaknesses, Iron Dome batteries have been deployed across the country and even out at sea to protect Israel's offshore gas platforms from attack. And it's still, by far, the most effective system of its kind and has saved numerous lives. The system has been so successful that the Israeli government now considers it a core part of their national defense, and have agreed to even sell the systems to other countries to use as well. In 2016, Israel began selling the Iron Dome defense technology to Azerbaijan, who went on to effectively use it themselves in their 2020 war with Armenia. Other customers of the system include India, Romania, the United States, NATO, South Korea, and even Singapore. The US has already begun deploying their purchased Iron Dome systems in Iraq and Afghanistan, which means that we'll likely continue seeing the system deployed to hotspots across the world for some time to come. For 2 weeks last month, the Iron Dome network blocked thousands of rockets that were launched at Israel. But that doesn't mean that the violence was stopped. Israel conducted hundreds of airstrikes upon the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and hundreds of Hamas-fired rockets still found their way through the Iron Dome and into Israel. The conflict was important, bloody, and not acceptable for me to cover on YouTube due to their terms of service. I know how making videos on YouTube works, and I know that this video already has a super high chance of being demonetized and unpromoted by YouTube's algorithm. But the moment I really start diving into the most recent conflict, why it began, how it went, and how it all ended, it's a guarantee that this video will be censored and you won't get to see it. So instead, I created a full-length companion video to this one with all of that controversial but important information included, and uploaded that version you can go watch right now to Nebula, which, as you've probably heard by now, is home to tons of exclusive ad-free content, like my entire Modern Conflict series, with another full-length episode you can watch explaining what makes the Israel-Palestine border the most complicated and dangerous one in the world, as well as other episodes detailing the 2020 Armenia-Azerbaijan war and the ongoing Russo-Ukraine war in the Donbass. Of course, the reason why all of these videos are only on Nebula is because the YouTube algorithm actually punishes me and all other creators for ever trying something new. But Nebula is a different platform without an algorithm and without ads. It's just a platform about great and unique content made by great and independent educational creators. Nebula's ecosystem enables all of us to take big risks with expensive projects, like America's biggest ghost town, my own 35-minute-long documentary shot on location around the Salton Sea, the largest lake in California and arguably America's greatest environmental disaster that drove thousands from their homes and, as a result, created America's largest ghost town. The best way to get access to Nebula and all of this awesome content is definitely through the pretty amazing CuriosityStream Nebula bundle deal. With its current sales price, it's less than $15 a year to get access to both sites. And CuriosityStream has some phenomenal stuff too. One of my favorites has been the grim, but nonetheless interesting terror series, with 6 episodes chronicling some of history's most significant terror attacks, complete with survivor testimonies, including the 1972 Munich Olympic Games Israeli hostage crisis. I genuinely don't know about a better deal in streaming. 2 streaming sites, both with stuff you'll actually watch, and all for less than $15 a year at the current sales price. But what's more, signing up will actually help countless independent educational creators far beyond just RealLifeLore. So please make sure to do so at curiositystream.com/RealLifeLore or by following the link down below in the description. And as always, thank you so much for watching.